Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Test 1, 2, 3. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the regular scheduled meeting, City of Griffin Board of Commissioners on June 13, 2023. We're going to begin with the Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner Cynthia Reed Ward, followed by Commissioner Tinsley III with the invocation. Please join us.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
Most gracious Heavenly Father, we're here today to ask for blessings and guidance in the performance of our duties as elected officials. We pray for strength, love, knowledge, and understanding. Help us to recognize and solve the problems that are presented. Make our solutions fair and just in the best interest of everyone. Help us to overcome our shortcomings and keep us united as a team to work for the betterment of the city and its people. We pray in your name. Amen. Amen. Thank you. We have the approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion to approve?
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Brock, second by Mrs. Ward. All in favor, please signal by raising your hand. 5-0. All right, under presentations and delegations, we're going to start off by recognizing Ms. Angie Burnham, Administrative Coordinator with the Griffin Police Department, as the May 2023 Strongest Link in the Chain Award recipient. Human Resource Director Stephanie Woods will address. Good evening and welcome.
It is an honor to be before everyone tonight and present this on behalf of the city to Ms. Angie Burnham. Angie is our administrative coordinator at the police department. She probably keeps a lot of things in check over there, and she's amazing at what she does, but this is not why I nominated her. I nominated her because she always goes above and beyond, in particular when it comes to volunteer events such as Second Saturday, Made in Griffin, Back the Blue. There's so many things I could name. If there's something where we need volunteers, she's the first person to sign up. And that speaks volumes of her commitment to the city, her job, and her dedication to the city. So that's why I nominated her, and she won. So congratulations.
Angie, just want to say thank you for what you do. You were out decorating for June Jam this weekend, and just every event that we were at, you have such a positive influence on whether it's the employees or the citizens, and we just appreciate your hard work and commitment to making us a great place. Thank you. And thank you, Stephanie. All right, we're going to have 3 presentations, which I'm going to come down to do. Presentation, proclamation for Solid Waste Week 2023, presentation of proclamation for June 10th, 2023, and presentation of a proclamation for Pride Month 2023. I believe we've got Mr. Ennis. Is he here and his team? So we'd love to have y'all come join us. Rich. Get the spectacles on. Rough getting old and having to use glasses. So our first proclamation tonight is proclamation for Griffin Solid Waste Week. Whereas the city of Griffin is inspired to recognize the often thankless job of waste collectors and sanitation and recycling workers, and we recognize the annual observance of National Garbage Man Day began on June 17, 2012. And whereas the earliest known garbage regulations effort was the first landfill in Gnosis, Crete, where large holes for refuse were dug and garbage was dumped along with dirt at various levels in 3000 BC. And whereas the men and women employed by the city for refuse collection and hauling make significant contributions to the safety, health, and welfare of our citizens, often pioneering new ways to save our cities from vermin and disease. And whereas with the area spanning 14.03 square miles, 181.8 miles of roads, and a population of 23,643, the city of Griffin depends on the rain or shine, cold or hot, windy or calm collection of waste and recyclables to promote a safe, clean, and tidy community. Whereas the proper collection, disposal, and maintenance of waste, recyclables, and compostables are vital to preventing disease and unsightly litter. And whereas the solid waste industry employs thousands of people around the United States, and they are professionals who, with proper certifications, licenses, degree, and skills to provide the necessary services to the communities they serve. Now therefore be it resolved that the City of Griffin Board of Commissioners values and celebrates our local solid waste industry workers for their commitment to our residents, businesses, and communities, and declare the week of June 17th through 23rd, 2023 as Griffin Solid Waste Week, and urge the citizens to pause and reflect on their contributions for their commitment and dedication to keeping our community clean and safe for everyone. We encourage all to thank your sanitation men and women, take part in your local recycling programs, learn more about our solid waste initiatives, and adhere to sanitation guidelines for everyone's benefit. We do hereby declare the copy of this proclamation to be spread upon the minutes of this board, reflecting that I have hereunto caused the seal of the city of Griffin to be affixed on this, the 13th day of June of the year of the Lord, 2023. Signed, Douglas S. Holberg and Jessica W. O'Connor, city manager. So congratulations and thank you. And we're gonna have a picture up top.
Just like to thank you, Mayor, Commissioners, and Jessica, City Manager, for your support. Just like you said in the proclamation, I thank these guys for going out, rain and shine, hot or cold, making sure the city of Griffin is clean. I applaud them for them going above and beyond each and every day to do the job for the citizens of Griffin. Thank you all.
Thank you.
So, if I could, this time of year, I think is quite important that we point out that in 1968, Dr. King was leading a march in Memphis, Tennessee, for the sanitation workers of Memphis. And every time I think about that, and we think about what these guys have to do and these young ladies have to do for our community to keep our community clean, and they do a job, to me, just as dangerous as any other job in the city. And they deal with everyone's trash, one's waste. And it gives me just a great pleasure to know that we, our city, takes time out to recognize these citizens. And I'm gonna ask that we just do this over again. We want to give these people a round of applause and standing ovation for the job that they do, not just the ones that are here, but the ones for our whole department. So thank you all again for the proclamation, and thank you guys for what you do.
Thank you, Mr. McCord. At this time, we'll be doing the proclamation for Juneteenth 2023. So if anybody would like to do that.
Like for all community members.
Wonderful.
Wait, this song, everybody. With the song, you know, please.
The proclamation celebrating Juneteenth 2023, whereas on June 19th, 1865, 2.5 years after President Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation, Union soldiers led by Major General Gordon Granger landed in Galveston, Texas, with the news that the Civil War has ended and that enslaved people were now free. And whereas Major General Granger announced to the residents of Texas, the people of Texas are informed that in accordance with the proclamation that the executive of the United States, all slaves are free. This involves an absolute equality of personal rights and rights of property. Whereas the first Juneteenth celebration was held in Texas in 1866. Since then, Juneteenth has been celebrated in communities across the United States, providing an opportunity to mark the emancipation of enslaved people. And whereas on this day, in hundreds of communities across the country, people of all races, nationalities, and religions join hands to acknowledge the extremely painful history and lasting systematic impact of slavery and racial injustice in the United States. Juneteenth is an opportunity to recommit ourselves to the goal of creating a more equal and just society, an effort that continues today. Now, therefore, we, the City of Griffin Board of Commissioners, do hereby proclaim June 19, 2023 to be Juneteenth Independence Day and urge all of our citizens of Griffin, City of Griffin, to take recognition of this event and participate in its observance. In witness thereto, I hereunto set my hand and cause the seal of the City of Griffin to be affixed this 13th day of June in the year of our Lord, 2023. Signed, Douglas S. Holberg, Mayor, Jessica W. O'Connor, City Manager. So we're excited about Juneteenth. If you haven't heard, the parade has been moved to 11 o'clock instead of 10:30, and a lot of different activities. So we'd like to present the proclamation. If we can get a picture with everybody, it'd be great.
No, it's okay. So I want to thank the city commissioners again. This is our third year recognizing Juneteenth with a proclamation. I want to say that you were ahead of the curve when we did it the first year before it became a federal holiday. And want to also emphasize that we appreciate you keeping the original language that was submitted. Because that is very important that we recognize the systemic impact that slavery has had on our communities here. Just to put some things into perspective, when we talk about systemic, you can look up the history here and see it in the lynchings that occurred in the city of Griffin. Just think about relatives that you may have. For example, my grandmother was born in 1943. And at the time that year, there were a lot of riots dealing with race relations. One of which happened in Harlem, where a Black soldier was shot when he tried to intervene in the instance of a white officer arresting a Black woman. This was one of 5 riots that happened that year. Also have an aunt that was born in 1960, who was 7 years old when Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated. In 1983, I was only a year old when Timothy Coggins was lynched, and I was 35 years old when his killers were finally brought to justice. If we think about things that are happening today, such as the Supreme Court decision with Alabama, where they struck down a situation where districts had been gerrymandered to the point where they're completely unrecognizable and suppressing the votes of the Black community. When we think about every day reading the news and seeing wrongfully convicted Black men being released from prison because they were guilty of being nothing other than Black. We see it in our own communities when we're disproportionately affected when it comes to police and social justice. We see systemic issues with book bans. For example, during slavery, slaves would be beaten or killed for learning to read and write. In present day, we have books being banned because they don't want us to read about our history at all. We have anti-woke, anti-CRT, which are all code words for anti-Black. We're all experiencing this right now. So that is what we mean by recognizing the systemic impact that slavery has had, that is still affecting us in 2023 in present day. So we would encourage everyone to just think about that. That history has not gone away. We're still dealing with systemic issues in our everyday lives. Thank you.
Moving into the presentation and proclamation for Pride Month, do we have any guests? So proclamation, Pride Month 2023. Whereas the uprising at the Stonewall Inn in June 1969 sparked the liberation movement and a call to action that continues to inspire us to live up to our nation's promise of equality, liberty, and justice for all. Pride is a time to recall the trials of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer LGBTQ+ community has endured, and to rejoice in the triumphs of trailblazing individuals who have bravely fought and continue to fight for full equality. And whereas the LGBTQ+ community in America has achieved remarkable progress since Stonewall, June has become a nationally recognized moment to celebrate and honor the way LGBTQ+ Americans have overcome adversity and enriched our society. Members of the LGBTQ+ community now serve in nearly every level of public office, in city halls and state capitals, in governor's mansions, and in halls of the Congress. Whereas for all of our progress, there are many states in which LGBTQ+ individuals still lack protections for fundamental rights and dignity in hospitals, schools, public accommodations, and other spaces. Our nation was founded on the principles of equal rights for all people, and the city of Griffin strives to be a community where everyone is celebrated for their differences rather than being limited by what might divide us. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Commissioners of the City of Griffin do hereby proclaim June 2023 to be Pride Month 2023 in the City of Griffin, and urge all citizens to support efforts to promote equality and affirmation of the LGBTQ+ community, and to recognize and celebrate the many ways in which the LGBTQ+ community has contributed to the history, culture, and social fabric of this nation, of this city, and witness there whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the city of Griffin to be affixed on this 13th day of June in the year of our Lord, 2023. Douglas S. Holbert, Mayor, and Jessica W. O'Connor. So congratulations. And thank you for being here today.
Hi. So I just wanted to take a moment to thank the city again for recognizing contributions of the queer community here. And in a year that has had unprecedented legal attack against my trans siblings, I would like to thank the city for not engaging in that misbehavior. I would like to have a call to arms to fight against these bathroom bans, canceling basically drag shows or drag in general. It's just been a horrific year for the trans community and the drag community. So if you guys could be more aware of that and pull some of your power towards protecting these folks, they are vulnerable, they are at our disposal, and we need to protect them. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim, for your wisdom. This time we will review financial reports for April 2023. Finance Director Deborah Manning Gilbert will address. And Ms. Deborah, would you like to introduce? She is our new financial officer for the city of Griffin. You want to? Yes. So welcome, Ms. Deborah.
Thank you. Good evening. We're looking at April financials. As of April 30th, we are 83.3% into fiscal year 2023. Our total year-to-date operating revenue is 112.1 million, which is 87.3% of our projected operating revenue for the fiscal year. Our total year-to-date operating expenses is 100.8 million, which is 74.4% of our projected operating expenses. When we look at our sales tax analysis or lost, we have collected 88.6% of our projected revenue. And in SPLOST, we've collected 99.8% of our projected revenue. And that's a brief snapshot of our April financials. Do you have any questions or comments?
Any questions from the board?
I'm good.
Well, thank you. And
Thank you.
we appreciate you choosing Griffin. We're glad to have you.
Glad to be here.
Thank you, Ms. Deborah. At this time, we're moving into citizens' comments. The mayor opens the floor to comments from the audience. Comments should relate to the specific agenda item not listed on the agenda for a public hearing or to a concern in the jurisdiction of the city. Commission meetings serve the purpose of conducting city business and are not a forum for the unlimited expression of opinion. The mayor reserves the rights to limit comments to matters germane to city business and may refer speakers to the city manager or other staff for a resolution. With that being said, is there anybody on my left side like to come forward? Anybody on my left side? Reverend Wheeler? If you would please consider giving your name and address for the record, please.
Honorable Mayor, distinguished members of the Griffin City Commissioner, I'm Reverend Joseph Wheeler. I'm from Riverdale, but I'm with the National Action Network, which means we network with other civil rights organizations. I'm a member of Griffin Men of Action, an established civic organization here in Griffin. Our president is here. Other members are here as well. We've been meeting with city manager, Ms. Jessica O'Connor. We've had a meeting with her and Chief Michael Yates concerning the disparities in hiring and promotion of African-American officers. We agreed that there was a problem, and I feel in good faith we are trying to work on that problem. However, I understand that the chief has been relieved of his duties. We don't know why, we don't know the circumstance. However, if there's going to be a new chief, the Griffin Men of Action wants to be a part of the selection process. We want to know the chief's background, qualification, and the chief's commitment to fairness in hiring and promotion. We want the Griffin Police Department to reflect the demographics of Griffin. We feel that that will give it integrity. We know everybody's not perfect. We know even when we do hire other officers. People are human beings, they make mistakes. We may have to correct when people make mistakes. But the law says we don't accept federal funds and discriminate. So based on the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, we find Griffin at fault. But we're still working on that. We are ready to meet with the mayor, city manager, and city commissioner. We're ready to sit down and talk. And we're ready to work on correcting the disparity. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Reverend Wheeler. Is there anybody else on my left side like to come before the board? Anybody else on my left side? Okay. Susan, can you help with the microphone, please? Good. Thank you, Gil. Good evening.
Good evening, everybody. Good Mayor Hobart, how you doing?
I'm good, Wendy. Good to see you, sir.
And to the rest of the staff and commission. It's an honor for me to be here because just like what Reverend Willis said, that we've been having a lot of problems about this police department. And not only police department, what are we gonna do? Because Mike Yates, he's been out just about 2 months with pay. They don't have a boss up there. And now they want to hire a Emory boss from someone else. So let's work with our own and try to get this solved. Because the police have been quitting. Everyone know because the pay. And I wish that you all would consider Captain Daniel because he is the best and next in line. And we just keep looking over him. And the city is tired, the citizen is tired of that. So what are we gonna do? Because later when it comes to the police chief of Africa, America, been looked over. And so we need someone that know the city, know the people, and everything. And Mike Yates, he was good. So, but where, and he would pay, so why we keep paying him, our citizen and everything, and we just go here on, and we all get together and act like we all got some sense and sit down and talk about this situation. Because if we don't, our police, all our police just gonna walk out on us. Y'all might not know this, but this is what happened. So we got to find a boss up there. And I'd like to know when we can all talk to get a boss. And I've been in the military. The next one that gets promotion is the one that qualified and been in the service a long time.
We don't normally answer the questions, but you could please give your name and address for the record, if you don't mind.
My name is Reverend Wendell D. Bell Sr. And I live in 416 Washington Street. I've been a citizen of Griffin for about 30 years. And I'm not from Griffin. And where I'm from is Alabama. And we got more Africa America that in charge.
Anything else, Mr. Bell?
No, sir.
All right. Thank you for being here
Okay,
tonight.
thank you all
We
for
appreciate it.
listening to me and taking
Yes, sir.
time.
Thank you.
Everything, y'all have a good evening.
Thank you, sir. And Mr. Cotton's right there behind you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else on my left side like to come before the board? Anybody else on my left? Is there anybody on my right side like to come before the board? Thank you all for being here and making your comments. Next items are public hearings. Public hearings are conducted to allow public comment on specific advertised issues such as rezoning, ordinances, policy, development, operating budgets, and other legislative actions to be considered by the city commission. Item 6 is to receive comments regarding a request to amend the Unified Development Code of the City of Griffin, Article 2, Section 202, definitions, and Article 4, procedures in order to incorporate minimum zoning procedures required by the zoning procedures law as set forth by House Bill 916 and House Bill 1405, 2022 general session, and to otherwise amend the zoning policies and procedures and standards of the exercise. Staff Attorney Kelsey Carbon and Director of Planning and Development Chad Jacobs will address. Welcome. That was a mouthful. Oh, and we'd like to
Don't
wish.
y'all
Miss
dare,
Kelsey
don't y'all
Carbon
dare.
happy birthday tonight. We're glad.
Yeah. So I guess I will go first. Chad's going to talk from a staff perspective as far as planning and development on how things have changed. But the 2022 General Assembly passed two bills that we've been mulling over for the past year. The first and probably the most abrasive when it comes to our current zoning law is HB 1405. It is an amendment to the zoning procedures law that sets the minimum zoning procedures for municipalities and counties across the state. And while we're trying to look at this as an opportunity, there were changes that needed to be made within our zoning code, sort of clean some things up. And so a lot of the changes that you will see in that 13-page ordinance, even though they look rather dramatic, some of it is just making it a little bit easier to comprehend and a little bit more streamlined. With that being said, HB 1405 does have some major changes as well. For one, it created a separate area of zoning law called quasi-judicial decisions. It does not actually define quasi-judicial decisions other than noting that it's boards, agencies who are designated to have or make quasi-judicial decisions. From our perspective, we know that it means variances. The only thing that will change is from a staff perspective with regard to noticing. And there will also be a change in sort of how we conduct our hearings. I think that really we just need to note that what you are doing here is building a record, potentially for appeal, for variances, and for special use permits. And so following those standards and recognizing that you are standing in the position of a judge when you are hearing those cases is really what's going to be most important. We are planning on doing a comprehensive special workshop training for all of you to give you updates on this new law and how they will impact you. We are also planning on meeting with the mayor. Lucky for many of you, he will have the biggest burden when it comes to the changes, and we'll be kind of changing the scripted nature of how we do our hearings to make sure that we're including everything that the law requires. The main areas that I would say that you would need to focus is the standards of the exercise within the zoning procedures law. Although they are the same, you'll note that for special use permits, we do include a couple of an additional note to section 405. So if I had one recommendation for you, that would be it. And there will also be a change that now the quasi-judicial decisions will also include administrative appeals. So if you do see an administrative appeal and you're wondering why that would come before your board, that would include any of our administrative variances or administrative special uses. Normally, Chad makes those decisions, but 1405 now requires a hearing for some of those, or it may require a hearing. So to make sure that we're not violating anyone's rights and we're providing due process, those will now be appealable to this board, and any decisions of this board will continue to be up for appeal to the Superior Court, either through a petition for review or a constitutional challenge. So that's a lot of legal stuff. But again, my main focus for you would be section 405 and 406 related to those standards of the exercise, because that is where you guys are making the decision
based on the facts and evidence that is presented for these hearings. And that's going to be the key component for making sure we're staying within the bounds of what 1405 requires under state law. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
You said that, you will be meeting, but you would be meeting with the mayor. Explain that to me.
Oh, okay. Clarification. So we will be meeting as a group, doing a special workshop. And then we will be doing sort of a scripted kind of outline. As you note on our agenda, the mayor has to read off that particular provision of when we're doing a public hearing. That will be a bit more involved now. So when we draft that, we'll be meeting with him one-on-one to say, here's what these changes mean. But we will be meeting with all of you as a group to do a special workshop on this so that we can give you some more streamlined and comprehensive training. My hope is, rather than me getting up here and giving a lot of just sort of legal jargon that doesn't really mean anything for you, I can rely on some of the past examples of what we've done in zoning decisions over the last couple of years and use those as examples for how they might look different under this new law.
Mr. Jacobs?
I have very little to add other than that our staff has gotten together and what we're working on right now is taking a look at, obviously the implementation of these new regulations, looking at our way that we structure our staff reports. You may see a slight difference in that, coming up in the next couple of months, how those are kind of presented. Also, too, we're looking at our applications, restructuring those applications, make sure all of that lines up with the changes that are being implemented as a result of these new state laws. Then obviously too, we're working internally on essentially the portion that you would read off, the mayor would read off during the public hearing part of zoning hearing. So we're kind of getting all that together now. We come at a better time. We have a bunch of applications that coming for y'all next month. So you'll see a couple slight procedural changes, things like the folks having to sign in before the meetings start. So that may be something where we'll have to make an announcement at the beginning before even the meetings or the hearings even start. Make sure the folks have been signed in, with the applications, and make sure that there's access to the ordinance. We have it here. So just little things like that. There'll be some slight little nuance changes, but for the most part with this, you won't see too terribly much of a difference. But Kelsey has done an amazing job. I think Drew enough to it's been a blessing to have two very solid legal minds here that it's that can help us with this. And Kelsey has done an amazing job here with getting this ordinance together. So I think
Thank you, Mr. Jacobs. And thank you, Mrs. Carter.
Mr. Mayor, if I can just comment briefly. First off, let me also add my thanks to Kelsey for the job she has done in drafting this ordinance. Your unified development code is frankly something I never have liked too much myself, because I think it's very cumbersome and hard to read and interpret. And it was very difficult taking these two state laws and trying to consolidate those into the Unified Development Code. I think this ordinance that's before you tonight is also very cumbersome and probably confusing to you if you've just read through it briefly and don't really understand each of the points that are being made. But the problem is that is state law. We had no choice, and we had to meet a deadline of July 1, which is coming up in about 2 weeks. So we had to incorporate these procedures. Under our Constitution, the power to zone is vested exclusively in this Board of Commissioners. But the state, by general law, by enacting a general law, can specify zoning procedures. In other words, they can tell you what has to be done in order to effectively exercise the power of zoning. Now, you're not going to see a lot of change as far as the rezoning or the amending of the text of the Unified Development Code itself. The way you've handled it in the past, you act in your legislative capacity. You've got far more latitude and discretion when you do so. And those hearings are going to be relatively the same. But HB 916 is really not zoning reform, but it's judicial reform. And it sets out new procedures in which the General Assembly felt like the general public was not being a fair shake in the court system when zoning matters were appealed to the Superior Court. So it set out new provisions for what, as Kelsey explained to you, are quasi-judicial actions. And it's going to change the way you hold hearings here before this body. Those hearings have to be based on evidence, not opinion, but evidence based on standards that have now been added to your Unified Development Code, not only for zoning decisions such as rezoning and text amendments, but also for special use permits and for the other variances and other administrative procedures, which now have got to hold these hearings. So I don't want to go into more detail than that at this. We'll cover it through a workshop, but it's something that not just here locally have we had problems. This has been a statewide problem. You probably heard about it in GMA. If you haven't, I'm sure you will in the next week or so when you go down there. So it's coming home to roost now in July 1.
Thank you, Mr. Whalen. Do the board members have any questions or comments? How that's going to impact planning and zoning board? Planning and zoning board, how will this impact?
Very little on the planning and zoning board. They at least they really make a recommendation. That's
Right.
about all they do.
Okay.
You know, the burden's gonna rest here.
Yeah. This is a public hearing at this time. Is anybody who would like to speak on this matter? Have any questions? Right. Thank you, staff. Moving into item 7 is receiving comments regarding proposed budget fiscal year beginning July 1, 2023 and ending June 30th, 2024. City Manager Jessica O'Connor will address.
Good evening. This is our second and final budget presentation and public hearing. And so this is for our operating and capital budgets for fiscal year 2023-2024. As we mentioned last week, when we had our first public hearing and our actual workshop where we went through the entire presentation, we did notice this in the Griffin Daily News, our local legal organ, on Tuesday, May 30th, 2023. And it has been available for public review in my office since Friday, June 2nd at 8 a.m. It has also been on our website since that time. What you will see in our budget presentation very briefly, as we always do, is we try to look at our goals and areas of importance. This year, they remain the same as they did last year with substandard housing, like trash, litter, and junk, downtown redevelopment, crime reduction, and then one that sort of has obviously stood out in the last few months is a storm rebuild and reimbursement process. So just to give you, again, another overview of what we are looking at this year, our expenditures exceed revenues by $8,103,885. Our general fund expenditures exceed revenues by over 11 million. However, our total general fund revenue is up $81,623, and property tax budgeted for this fiscal year is $4.5 million. So with a $144 million budget, all of what we get in property tax is estimated to be $4.5 million. Our enterprise funds revenues, the reason that I wanted to do this again tonight is that there was actually an error in this slide when I presented it to you last week or 2 weeks ago. There's a separate proposal that we do for our delinquent penalties, and with OpenGov being a little new, I did not include that in these revenues. So I wanted to make sure that I did that and put it on the record that this slide has been updated from that presentation. You can see that the solid waste revenue has increased. And Steve, this is not the right presentation in things. So solid waste, let's just turn that off and make it more confusing when we try to correct it. Solid waste has increased $253,272. Electric has increased $6,302,000. Wastewater revenue is actually decreasing over $400,000. Water revenue has increased $1 million. Stormwater is expected to increase almost $200,000. Telecom increased $65,741, and the golf course is expected to increase $64,200. So with all of that, we do believe that we are presenting a fair and balanced budget. However, that budget is having to be balanced this year with a shortfall being taken from our fund balance. That fund balance shortfall is $1,886,824. So we are asking that that be pulled from fund balance to give the general fund a zero balance. What we are expecting though in the next few months is that FEMA has already obligated our first reimbursement. That reimbursement amount is $2,185,538.31. So ironically, it puts back almost $300,000 more than what we need to take. I don't think that with a $15.5 million storm damage, that's all that bad. So we are asking that we can pull that money from fund balance, and then we will have a resolution as soon as we get that money to put it right back in there. And with that, I will take any questions.
Any questions from board members? Thank you, Ms. O'Connor.
Thank
Thank you for your staff and team for the hard work in this
Yes,
process.
thank you.
This is a public hearing, the second and final public hearing on the 23-24 budget. Does anybody in the audience like to come before the board and ask questions or have any statements? Tonight we'll be voting on the final budget for approval. Thank you very much. Moving into the consent agenda, we have items 8 through 17 to take as a whole. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Mr. Brock with a motion. Do we have a second? Second by Commissioner Ward. All in favor of the consent agenda, items 8 through 17, please signal by raising your hands. 6-0. Moving into the regular agenda. Item 18 is consider amending the Unified Development Code of the City of Griffin, Article 2, Section 202, definitions, and Article 4, procedures, in the order to incorporate minimum zoning procedures required of the zoning procedures laws and set forth in House Bill 916 and House Bill 1405, 2022 general session, and to otherwise amend the zoning policies and procedures and standards of the exercise. Mrs. Ward with a motion, with a second. Second by Commissioner Tinsley. All in favor, please signal by raising your hand. 6-0. Item 19 is consider resolution adopting the annual fiscal year 2023 and 2024 operating capital budget, appropriating expenditures, and forecasted revenues for specified purposes, functions, and activities by fund for the budget period and capital improvement program. Motion to approve the budget. Mrs. Ward with a motion. Do we have a second? Second by Commissioner Tinsley. All in favor, please signal by raising your hand. 6-0. Item 20 is consider the minutes of the City of Griffin Board of Commissioners workshop meeting on May 23, 2023. Commissioner Flowers and Murray were absent. Do we have a motion to approve? Ms. Ward with a motion, second by Commissioner Brock. All in favor, please signal by raising your hand. With 4-0-1 with Commissioner Flowers abstaining. Item 21 is considered the minutes of the City of Griffin Board of Commissioners regular meeting on May 23, 2023. Commissioner Ward was absent. Commissioner Ward with a motion. Do we have a second? Commissioner Tinsley with a second. All in favor, please signal by raising your hand. 4-0-1. Oh, I'm sorry, that last vote was a 5-0-1 with Commissioner Flowers. And then that was a 5-0-1 with Commissioner McCord abstaining. Item 22 is consider the minutes of the City of Griffin Board of Commissioners call meeting on June 6, 2023. Commissioner Flowers was on Zoom meeting. Commissioner Tinsley was absent. We have a motion to approve. Commissioner Ward with a motion. Do we have a second? Second by Commissioner McCord. All in favor of the minutes, please signal by raising your hand. 5-0-1 with Mr. Tinsley abstaining. Item 23 is consider resolution making an appointment to the Office of Municipal Court Solicitor as well as approving compensation for said position. My understanding, we have a interest from Assistant Solicitor Clayton Hendrick. Is her name? Do we have a motion to nominate Clayton Hendrick? We have a motion from our nomination from Commissioner Tinsley. Do we have a motion to close nominations? Are there any other nominations? We have a motion from Commissioner Tinsley to close nominations. We have a second to close on the closing nominations. Commissioner McCord with a second. All in favor of closing nominations, please raise your hand. 6-0. With Mr. Clayton Hendrick being the assistant solicitor. Item 24 is to consider a contract with Premier Elevator, most responsive bidder for modernization of the two elevators located on Solomon Street, Oliver Bank, in the amount of $562,307, and amend the budget accordingly. Commissioner McCord with a motion, second by Commissioner Ward. All in favor, please signal by raising your hand. 6-0. Item 25 is considered contract with Waveco Single Source in the amount of $75,211 to reglaze the windows at the One Griffin Center. Commissioner Ward with a motion, with a second. Commissioner Tinsley with a second. All in favor, please signal by raising your hand. 6-0. Item 26 is consider agreement with the Georgia Council for the Arts Vibrant Communities Grant in the amount of $8,500. Do we have a motion to approve? Commissioner Brock with a motion. Do we have a second? Second by Commissioner McCord. All in favor of the agreement, please signal by raising your hand. 6-0. Item 27 is consider renewal of the intergovernmental agreement between the City of Griffin and the Griffin-Spalding County Airport Authority for administrative services provided by the city to the Airport Authority, and consider renewal of the lease for personal services between the City of Griffin and the Griffin-Spalding County Airport Authority. Commissioner Ward with a motion, second by Commissioner Tinsley. All in favor, please signal by raising your hand. 6-0. Item 28 is consider renewal of the intergovernmental agreement for joint funding among the Griffin-Spalding County Airport Authority, the City of Griffin and Spalding County, in support of the Griffin-Spalding County Airport. Commissioner Tinsley with a motion, second by Commissioner Brock. All in favor, please signal by raising your hand. 6-0. And I think the final airport item is consider an amendment for Airport Infrastructure Program Grant Agreement AIP-34 Supplemental Agreement Number 1 for the contract time extension for the Griffin-Spalding County Airport. Commissioner Ward with a motion, second by Commissioner Tinsley. All in favor, please signal by raising your hand. And I want to recognize Airport Authority Chairman Randy Peters, who's here tonight. Thank you for what y'all are doing in your service. Item 30 is consider contract with UTEC Construction Inc. Best respondent for work to be conducted on the as-needed on-call basis in order to supplement the city's labor force during storms, natural disasters, or other high workload situations for which regular staff and mutual aid resources have been exhausted. Motion by Commissioner Tinsley, second by Commissioner Ward. All in favor, please signal by raising your hand. 6-0. Item 31 is consider the purchase of new office furniture for the electric department building addition in the amount of $55,293.50 from Chapel First Seating Company Inc. State contract and amend the budget accordingly. Commissioner Ward with a motion, second by Mr. Brock. All in favor, please signal by raising your hand. 6-0. Item 32 is consider a contract for Four Seasons Cable Construction sole respondent to repair fiber optic cables damaged during the tornado event of January 12, 2023, and for work to be conducted on an as-needed on-call basis in order to supplement the city's labor force during storms, natural disasters, or other high workload situations for which regular staff and mutual aid resources have been exhausted. Commissioner Ward, second by Tinsley. All in favor, please signal by raising your hand. 6-0. Item 33 is to consider the purchase of 396-gallon garbage carts and 265-gallon recycling carts in the amount of $28,704 from Toter, which is a subsidiary of Waste Equip Inc. through Sourcewell State Purchasing Contracts, and amend the budget accordingly. Mr. Brock with a motion, second by Ms. Ward. All in favor, please signal by raising your hand. 6-0. Item 34, consider services for the repair of raw water pump 2 at the Flint River Pump Station from Goforth Williamson Sole Source in the amount of $54,620. Commissioner Ward with a motion. Second by Commissioner Tinsley. All in favor, please signal by raising 6-0. Item 35 is consider memorandum of understanding between the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, and the city of Griffin for the city to obtain a position on the Safe Streets Task Force with the FBI and authorize the city manager and or mayor to execute any corresponding documents related to same. So moved. We have a motion by Commissioner Tinsley, second by Commissioner Brock. All in favor, please signal by.
Question,
Okay, hold one second on the vote. Yes, ma'am.
what's the duration of this MOU?
1 year.
Yeah.
Okay. And just for whatever reasons, could we pull out prior if we want to?
Mhm.
Okay.
Good.
That's it.
Yes, ma'am. We have a motion, Commissioner Tinsley, second by Commissioner Brock. All in favor, please signal by raising your hand. 6-0. Item 36 is consider a memorandum of understanding between the Federal Bureau of Investigations, FBI, and the city of Griffin, with the city to obtain a paid position on the Safe Streets Task Force, the FBI, and authorize the city manager and or mayor to execute any corresponding documents related to the same.
And Mayor, this is the one, we did not have this MOU until yesterday, and so it is before you on your dais. It is the Atlanta Metropolitan Major Offender Task Force. It is run by the same special agent in charge of the Safe Streets Task Force. So this is an actual second task force with a little bit different MOU, but same sort of program as the other one.
Thank you, Mr. O'Connor. We have a motion to approve. Mr. Tinsley with a motion. We have a second. Second by Commissioner McCord.
Question,
Question
Yes,
by
ma'am.
Commissioner Flowers.
same time parameters, same ability to pull out. Okay,
One's just related to violent crime, which is the Atlanta Metro Major. And then the second one, the Safe Streets, is related to gangs.
well, and that's why I asked because yes, okay.
We have a motion to second. All in favor, please signal by raising your hand. 6-0. Item 37 is consider authorization for Mayor Holberg, Commissioners Ward, Flowers, Murray, Tinsley, and McCord to attend the MEAC annual meeting, in Amelia Island, Florida, July 10th through 12th, 2023. Dr. Brock with motion, second by Commissioner Ward. All in favor, please signal by raising your hand. 6-0. And item 38 is consider cancellation of the City of Griffin Board of Commissioners, July 11th, 2023 regular meeting due to commissioners' attendance at the MEAC annual meeting on July 10th to 12th, 2023. So moved. Commissioner Tinsley with a motion to cancel the meeting. Have a second. Second. Commissioner McCord with a second. All in favor, please signal by raising your hand. 6-0. Excellent. City Manager's report.
All right, y'all can see we were busy the last couple weeks with our last meeting of this fiscal year, which is hard to believe. So we will not meet again with your last vote until July 25th. So you'll have a nice little break from us. I also want to congratulate Ms. Burnham. That is well-deserved recognition. She is at any event that you attend, she will be there in some capacity volunteering. And so we're very thankful for her. And also a big thank you to Solid Waste and what those guys do every single day. I told them that during that week, I'm going to try and come right on the back of a garbage truck, and I really am going to do that. So we may even video that with Ms. Hancock. We'll see how that goes. Just a reminder, again, we have finalized the dedication of our new Kevin Jordan Public Safety Complex, which will occur on June 29th, a Thursday at 1 p.m. It will be at the police department. We're actually going to shut down that portion of Hill Street in between Central and Chapel. So we want to make that a very nice event, and we would like for you all to be there to participate. Also on Friday, Mayor Holberg and I will be participating in interviews for a new archway professional. So most of my day will be spent over at the extension office interviewing for that role. And a reminder that we will be closed on Monday, City Hall, in observance of Juneteenth. And then again, thanks to Ms. Cardin and Mr. Jacobs, especially Ms. Cardin on her birthday, having to be here to present what is a very difficult ordinance revision that I don't think anybody in the state yet has tackled that we can find. So we're going to be one of those first again, because I think everybody is scared of it. And I think that they have figured out an easy way to do it. And we'll see how we go from here. But I look forward to seeing all of you at GMA next week. That's it for me.
Thank you, Mr. Whalen.
I have nothing further.
Mr. Brock?
No comment, sir.
Commissioner Flowers?
No comment.
Commissioner Ward? Commissioner McCoy?
No comment.
Commissioner Tinsley? Nothing to add. So just want to thank city staff for their hard work on the budget. It's been a daunting task with lots and lots of challenges, but y'all continue to excel, and I'm very proud of you. Thank you for what you've done on that. June, James, all those that helped participate in that, it was a great success. There we have 3,000 folks participated up today, from the public safety aspect to the economic development department, everybody. Just want to thank you very much for that. Summer concert series kicks off this Saturday at 7:30, every Saturday night through the summer to the middle of August, except for July 1st. There will not be a second Saturday on that, or a concert that night. And then July 4th, the Downtown Council is hosting the July 4th parade. It's at 10 a.m. We'll be gathering at the Courthouse Annex parking lot and doing the downtown route. So I'd love to have anybody participate in that event on July 4th for the Independence Day parade. And then again, the Juneteenth parade is this Saturday, has been moved from 10:30 to 11 o'clock this Saturday. I believe either it's at Solomon Street Park, I believe, for the final. All right, 7:01. Do a motion to adjourn the meeting. 4 minutes. Do a motion to adjourn the meeting. Mr. Tinsley, you have a second. So, Commissioner Ward with a second. All in favor, please say aye and bye. Thank you.
And bye.
I like it.